Albert Sidney Johnston hit the haystack for eternity at Pittsburgh's landings, the fate of the old War of Independence laid on my granddaddy's shoulders. My granddaddy, Pierre Gustave Toutant Beauregard, had to take command over the Army of Mississippi. He often gets a bad rap for his actions at the battle, but I assure you, after hearing his tale, you'll be sure it's quite the opposite.
Oh, hello there. Now, the Battle of Shiloh broke out on April 6, 1862. The Confederate Army conducted a surprise attack on the Union Army in southwestern Tennessee. Now let's take a look. Albert Sidney Johnston, the highest-ranking soldier in the Confederacy, leads this attack to the Union. Now, on that...
Now, many of you listeners may assume that on account of the events that transpired, my granddaddy was a spineless man. But let me take you back to the eve of April 6, 1862.
Cindy! General Johnson, if I get him, I will win the war for the Union! General... He and his army attempted to bounce back from a string of losses, but Albert Sidney Johnston is fatally injured. He is shot in the leg, severing an artery, and ultimately bleeds out. There were many doctors surrounding Johnston at this time. However, everyone overlooked his major injury, leaving him to die and leave his own army in deep trouble.
The wound was horrifying. The Confederacy was in shambles. Who was going to lead the Confederate Army? But that's where my granddaddy, Pierre Gustave Toutant Beauregard, he steps into the picture. Let's see what happens next.
At this point in the battle, the Union was in bad shape, and Beauregard was confident that he and his army could finish off the Union by the next day.
What do I do? We fought valiantly, but lost 10,000 men. The men, they're green, but now they've seen the horrors of war. They're hungry, they're tired, and they are just filled with disease. It's up to me to decide what we do. I must make the right decision.
However, Union General Ulysses S. Grant anticipated this April 7th attack, because both he and Beauregard had received the same military training at West Point. Essentially, despite which side they were fighting for, the army generals shared tactics. Another huge saving grace for the Union Army was that night of April 6th, Don Carlos Buell managed to bring up 22,000 Union reinforcements. As a result of Grant's foresight, the Union Army counteracts the Confederates. Due to their new supply of troops, the Union is able to attack the very worn-out Confederate army.
Now, although I do want to focus on my granddaddy, General Beauregard, we mustn't forget about the young men, the 40,000 soldiers that served under him. The 40,000 soldiers that suffered immense diseases and boredom. These boys were brothers, sons, husbands, fathers, and we mustn't forget their great sacrifice today.
I'm hit. I'm surrounded on all sides.
I can't feel my leg.
Bombs, 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 bombs.
At this point in the battle, the action is just getting started. Johnston just suffered a brutal death, and as any nobleman would, my granddaddy steps up to the plate. he became the General Beauregard. He was a noble man and a real hero. He carried 40,000 soldiers on his back. He became the compass of the battle. May I add, fearful 40,000 soldiers. Now, unfortunately, this battle took a turn for the worst. Buell's army came to rush in and reinforce Grant's army. My granddaddy's army was outnumbered, outpositioned, outmanned.
At the head, the Confederate army retreats all the way back to Corinth, and Ulysses S. Grant takes home a major victory for the Union.
After analyzing the trauma and emotion of this battle, it would be preposterous to think that my granddaddy, General Beauregard, was spineless because of his retreat. It is clear that the reason that he retreated was because over 10,000 men were already butchered in this battle. And if he did not withdraw from the battle, he would be sending the remaining men to their graves. He would be guaranteeing the mothers, daughters, sisters, wives a funeral back where they lived. My granddaddy traveled far and wide to be the most noble man that side of Mississippi had ever seen. He took over Johnston's leaderless unit. His bravery and integrity are unparalleled to those of his counterparts. This night, my granddaddy showed every soldier what it means to be a proud member of the Stars and Bars.